All right, welcome. Today we're going to be doing cos and BS, and the first part of cos is the center, and that's for the center. You can use cos and BS to describe a graph, and first you want to describe the center of the graph. So that's going to be like your mean and your median. So say you have a graph that looks something like that, and so that's like 5. That's 1, that's 10, and then all the other values are in here. So, in this situation, because it looks like a normal probability graph, both your mean and your median are going to be at about 5. And don't forget, it's always at approximately. You don't want to like be definitive and like be like, oh, it is 5, because it might not be 5. If it's like 5.1 or 5.2 or something, then you're going to be wrong. So you want to say approximately or just at about 5. And so it's going to be describing the center of your graph, where your graph is centered at. Like right now, we could say the mean of the graph, I'm not really comparing anything, but the mean of this graph is about 5, at around 5, approximately 5. The median is approximately 5. All right, next we're gonna do U, which is unusual features. And for unusual features, the most common type is just gonna be outliers. So you're just gonna see if there's really anything that's like really nowhere it should be. So if we were to change this to say something like a histogram, and it looks something like this. So you see how your data here is like centered, like all your data is like over here, and then there's these two pieces of data like far out from the rest of the graph. So when you're describing those, you're gonna say those are potential outliers, because you're not 100% sure. You're like really never 100% sure unless you calculate it and you find out they're the actual outliers. You always want to say these are potential outliers for their potential outliers. This graph has potential outliers at about, that's where 2 would be, at about 2. Next, we're going to talk about spread. So when doing spread, that's usually just going to measure how the graph is spread. So it's going to be, most commonly you're going to do range, or you're going to do variation like variance or standard deviation. But it's easiest to do range. So say there's about 8. So you could just say the data has a range of, that's 1.5 there. So it's going to be 8 minus 1.5. That's 6.5. So and don't use range as a verb. Don't say the data in the graph ranges from this to this. Use it as a noun. Say, do the calculation. Just be like 8 minus 1.5. Give 6.5 to say the data has a range of 6.5. And when you're writing it down, show the calculation. It's imperative that you show the calculation. Don't just put in a random number that could have came from anywhere. Show the calculation. And well, this graph doesn't have units, but like never forget any units. Always have your units. So this graph has a range of 6.5 units. Next, we're going to talk about the shape. Now, for shape, you're just going to look if it has any skewness to it. Is it right skewed? Is it left skewed? Is it no skewed? Is it uniform? Is it normal? Well, approximately normal. So it's approximately. So in this situation, the graph is, as you can see, this is like kind of the general shape of it. We could say that is approximately normal, like taking into account everything. So for this, you just say this graph is approximately normal. So yeah, and if it was something like, if they were all like this, and you have something like that, and the shape of the graph is like that, that's the left skew. And so to know what side the graph is skewing, to just look at the tail, like which side has the longer tail. Like in this situation, it's the left. So it's a left skew. That's what I mean. So if it was opposite, if this data point was like right here, it'd be a right skew. Also, your skewness will affect your center. So it will affect the mean. So if we have like this, we have a right skewed graph, the mean is going to be closer to the higher data points. But your median is not affected by skewness. So say the median is still right around right here, 5.5 or 6, right? So the median is always going to stay there, even if there's a skewness. But if we're talking about mean, and that's what you're using to describe your center, it's going to move with the skew. Like it's going to be attracted. No, yeah, it's going to be attracted towards the skew. Like, yeah, it's going to be attracted towards the skew, even if they're like larger numbers over here. Like even if there's this, it's going to be attracted towards the tail end of the skew. That's where the mean is going to be. So if we have a graph, oh, and always remember, be specific. Like use context, apply context. Depending on what the graph is asking you about, you talk about that while you're writing your response. So say we have a graph that's comparing let's say, height compared to age. So say we have ages down here, and so we'll go by like 10. So we'll start like 10, say 20, say 30, and that's 40. So those are ages, and these are heights. So say, no, that's not a good graph actually. That's not good at all. Let's compare like average height of, let's compare the height, say, of everyone in the United States, in the country, right? So we're gonna have the really short heights over here. So there's some like 4'11", 5 foot, 5'1", and we're gonna have really tall heights like 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", and all the rest of the heights, they're gonna be inside here, like, so really just like really normal heights where you see everyone on a day-to-day basis. So like from 5'2", 5'3", 5'4", 5'5", 5'6", all the way to 6'2". We're not gonna have a lot of short people, so it's gonna look something like that. We're not gonna have a lot of tall people, so it's gonna look something like that. But right here, where there's like, you're gonna see your average people, like people on a day-to-day basis, that's gonna be where the bulk of your graph is. So it's gonna look something like that. And so when describing this, first we wanna describe the center. We could just do the median height. And we'll say the median height is around approximately 5'5". And so we write that, and you have to be specific. So the median height of the entire United States populace is approximately 5'5". That means approximately. And then you want to talk any unusual features. Now in this graph, there are no unusual features. So you could just say, and since the most common type of unusual features outliers, you could just say, it appears that the graph comparing all the heights in the United States, that doesn't have any outliers. So you could just write that as so yeah, it appears there are no outliers in the graph comparing all the heights in the country. Next, we're going to talk about spread. So the spread of the graph. Well, the graph is just comparing all the heights in the United States. So when we talk about spread, again, don't use it as a verb. Like when we're talking about range specifically, don't use it as a verb, use it as a noun. So let's say so our data range is, it ends at 6.5, that's our max, and 411 is our minimum. So we would have to like subtract those, and that's a base 12, so that's base 12. Alright, so we'd have to change it to, we would have to change it to inches to do it. So 6.5 in inches would be 77 inches, and 411 in inches would be 59 inches. So if you subtract those, will be 18 in inches, and that's 1.5 feet. So it's 1 foot and 6 inches. So for that, we could just say, in the graph comparing all the heights in the United States, the graph comparing all the heights in the United States has a range of 1 foot 6 inches. So, we've done it up here, but like, if you're really working on this, say in a test or anything, you'd want to put your calculation like in your response, so like to make sure the grader sees it. So it'd say of 6.5 minus, so that's the parentheses, 411. We just do that, close parentheses. So we go back to a sentence. The graph comparing all the heights in the United States has a range of 1 foot and 6 inches. And again, do not forget your units. Those will cost you points. And lastly, we want to talk about shape. And as we're talking about shape, remember, like, every single time we've talked about an aspect of the center of the unusual feature spread, we've been specific. Like, we've used the context of what we're given in the question, like, to make the graph and our response. So do not forget to do that. That's really important. We're talking about the shape of the graph, right? In this situation, it looks approximately normal. Like, there's no skew on either side. Nothing's going on with it. And again, just come back, remember being specific, just say the graph comparing all the heights graph comparing all the heights in the United States is approximately normal. And that's it. Now you know how to cuss and BS. Alright.